Hey ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to try to help you out here with problem number 1 on the homework. Again, this is a chart problem. On all of these problems, you had to draw pictures. So let's start there. Picture's not too bad. If I read the problem, it says a rectangle is 3 times as long as it is wide. 3 times as long as it is wide. So think about that. That means it's going to be pretty long and skinny, right? Like the length, this way is going to be 3 times this distance, and then it says if they're both decreased, the length and the width, by 2, its area will be decreased. So I don't know, if I cut that by 2, I cut that by 2, the same distance on each side, call that 2, and here's my new rectangle. That is all that I am looking for when it comes to a picture. Nothing crazy. Now what I will do is I move that to the side and reference this as we go through this problem. Obviously, we have to make a chart if we're actually going to solve this. So, assuming that you drew a picture for all 9, pick your favorite 3, or your favorite 5 rather, and we're going to make a chart. So, hopefully you remember these charts look like this, if not from your notes. From when we did these the first time, you're going to have 3 columns and 2 rows. And I'm going to have length, width, and area. And if it helps you, you can even write the formula on top if you really want to. You can do length times width equals area, just to remind you that that's what you're going to end up doing. And then obviously we have, rectangle 1 and rectangle 2, and we're going to get going on this. So number 1 says it's 3 times as long as it is wide. So this is 3 times this. I call the width W. It is 3 times as long as it is wide. In other words, it is 3 times the width to give you the length. 3 times as long. In other words, the length is 3 times the width. Alright. Now they're both decreased by 2. Decrease means take away. So I take these, and I'm just going to subtract 2 from each one. And it's very important that whatever it tells you to do, for example, in this case it said decreased, it might have said increase, it might have said double. It is referencing the box above it. So I always take what's here and I just copy it down and then follow the directions. In this case, I copy it down and then do -2. Alright? From here, to find the area, I multiply. That's why we do length times width. 3W times, this is 1W, gives me 3W to the second power. W times W is W squared. The bottom, a little more complicated. You're probably going to need to use the box. Some of you might be good enough to start kind of doing these in your head. Use the box anyway. Don't make a simple mistake on these problems because you're going too fast or you're lazy or you just don't want to do a giant problem. I get that, but don't go too fast. 3W minus 2. W minus 2. And now I just need to multiply. 3W times W is 3W squared. I'll get minus 2W here, minus 6W here. And then negative times a negative is a positive 14. And so if I combine my like terms in this one, I'm going to get 3W squared minus 8W, that's -2 and -6, plus 14. Now, I didn't mention this in class, but this problem is actually a very special problem. It's slightly different than some of the other problems on this worksheet. One reason why I'm doing it for you. If you look, normally in class, at least, this second rectangle was larger than the first. That's the way we had done it. But if you look at this, the second rectangle was actually the smaller one. It was the one on the inside, right here. So if that's the one that is right here on the table, I'm going to subtract these. Because that's what we do in these problems. If we decrease the area, we subtract the areas, and we're left over with 36. In other words, 36 is just this up here. It's the in-between area. It's the shaded part. Well, if that's what I'm looking for, then yeah, I actually need to subtract, but I'm going to subtract the smaller for the larger. The larger is actually the top. I know that seems a little weird, that the longer one is actually smaller, but the reason why it's smaller is this negative 8w. That makes it negative. So in order to subtract a negative, this becomes plus 8w. That becomes minus 14. Remember, when we subtract, we flip the signs. And I'm left with just positive 8w minus 14. So 8w minus 14 is the difference in their areas if you subtract in the correct order. And then that is equal to the difference of the areas, which in the beginning of the problem was 36. From here, you just solve this easy equation by adding 14, dividing by 8. You do that correctly. I think you get not a whole number, but 50 divided by 8. You can simplify that on a calculator to figure out what that would be. I think it's pretty attainable, but I know that this problem is hard. I know that it took a while to get to the 50 over 8. And then I'd obviously have to multiply that answer by 3 to get the actual dimensions. If you're struggling with this even after my explanation, try going back to the part you're stuck on and just watching that part again. Maybe it'll click the second time. If not, feel free to email me. I'd be happy to email you back or give you some extra help tomorrow in class. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.